welcome to the Un-American Football Show. After last week's wildcard experiment went very wrong for me, this week we've got a case of the usual suspects as Allan and Ross join me once again. How are we, gents?
Yeah, feeling good.
Yeah, feeling a lot better knowing that my wildcard pick went a lot better than yours.
Yeah. I mean, both of yours went really well, if I'm honest, because they generated you points, whereas I got absolutely shafted.
Well, that's what you get for bringing a Jaguars fan on.
I know.
Right.
I know. The first guest should not have been a rival, right? Specifically, that's where I went wrong.
Definitely.
Yeah, I'm vetoing any Falcons, Panthers, or Buccaneers fan ever coming on the show, especially for wildcard picks.
You'd have to find one first.
Oh dear. Enjoy the game at the weekends? The game.
It was dodgy, but yeah, I enjoyed it.
Don't know what you mean. It was game of the week. Thought Zach Wilson.
Best game in London.
Zach Wilson was phenomenal from start to finish.
Yeah.
From half-time to finish, he was okay.
Yeah, it was too. It was a lot of dodgy football on show first half, wasn't it? Bit better second half, certainly from the Jets. But boy, did the Falcons get ahead early.
Yeah, the atmosphere did really pick up when it looked like the Jets might do something, but alas.
Yeah. I was going
quite.
to say the atmosphere was electric in the second half when they were starting to look like they might actually tie the game.
Must have been the loudest it's been in London when they made a Falcons left tackle commit a false start. That must be difficult to look at your lads in the locker room after the game, knowing you committed a false start at a neutral venue.
Yeah,
neutral crowd.
Yeah. I mean, it was pretty. At that stage, it was quite loud, though, wasn't it? So it's not dreadful. It's certainly the loudest that stadium has been for a good while, isn't it?
Definitely. To be honest, I'm just happy that I don't have to hear that Falcons fast down anymore, because that was great.
It was abysmal.
So fucking annoying. My God. And anyway, that's enough talking about that game. So we're gonna go straight in and just have a look at last week's predictions. So Thursday night football, Rams at Seahawks. I took the Rams with a 7-point margin, so that came in quite nice for me. I got the point at least. Then the Titans, I took 33 points to 17, but then the wild card, Pat. Wildcard's a pretty good way of describing him as well, to be honest. But the wildcard Pat switched that up to the Jaguars to win by 3 points, and obviously, did I actually get the score completely right? Did I actually get a right score there?
That's very, very close. I'm actually just...
I'm a few points out, but Jesus Christ. Then I took the Cowboys winning 28 points to 17, the Chiefs winning 31 points to 27, and then the Ravens winning 25 points to 21. And I took Derrick Henry as my top fantasy points scorer from these games, which he was not, and he wasn't the closest of our picks to that figure either. So my paltry score this week, thanks to Patrick Jackson, I'm really refraining from insulting him. Patrick Jackson is 4 points, taking me to a total of 24 points, and at this stage, I might as well just give up.
Yeah, the applause.
I'm glad that I'm in charge of that.
Oh, okay.
I'm having some technical difficulties, so I don't have my scores from last week, or my predictions rather.
Do you want me to run you through it?
If you can, I know who I went for as a winner, but I wouldn't run all the wrong guesses.
Well, let's see how well you remember it then.
All right. So Rams, Seahawks, I had the Rams winning, which
10-point
they
margin
there. Lovely. We're not including the Falcons, Jets, I imagine, which we just did on the fly for a laugh on the day. Cool. That's for the best. Then we had the Jags and the Titans. I went for the Jags, slightly larrily. and I lost that one because the Titans won. Really, anyone should have. That was the obvious one, but you never know with the NFL.
You do know when
anything
it's
can
the
happen.
Jags and the Titans.
Yeah. Then we had the Cowboys and Giants, and obviously the Cowboys won. As if there was ever any doubt. Actually, there was a lot of doubt, but I that was correct. Although by a wider margin than I predicted. Slightly helped out by like a last-minute pick six or whatever it was. Then the Chiefs and the Bills, I had the Bills to win, and they did. But again, by more than I expected, I think. Although it might have been helped out by the wild card.
Your score to give it a significant, well, I say significantly, 3 points higher margin, which took you over the 1 point score. So he helped you out a bit there.
Cool, top man. And always big fan. And then last but not least, I had the Ravens to beat the Colts, and they did.
And
by 6 points. But I think I probably had a wider margin than that.
For the bonus point, do you remember your fantasy player?
Yeah, and I thought for a second after the week that I messed up by listening to you guys, because I nearly went with Lamar Jackson, but I went with Cooper Kupp. But actually, well, spoilers, it wasn't Lamar Jackson either. But it nearly was.
Cooper Kupp.
Cooper Kupp did better than any of our players did the week prior.
He did. Yeah, so
we did better generally.
Yeah, so you get 7 points this week, taking you to a total of 33. So I mean, I've got to win more or less every week just to catch you, let alone Ross now. Ross, go on.
Yep, I was the most fortunate, I would say, of the lot of us last week with the wild card. Yep. I picked the Seahawks to win, but the best Jags fan in the world, the best Jags fan in the land, switched that pick because he disagreed with me, and he chose the Rams by a very, very wide score, which that wasn't the case, but I'll take the extra point for the win.
You get 2 points because he doubles. If the wild card's right, he doubles up.
That was made up on the fly, and I like it. I'll take it. And then I was the only one to pick the Titans in the end, the only pick that stuck anyway and remained. Titans beat the Jags, so I'll take that. Had the Cowboys beating the Giants, and then I also had the Bills winning. I had that as a closer game, but the Chiefs are just really, really a bad football team at the moment, but I'll take the Bills win. And I had the Ravens beating the Colts similarly to Allan by a little bit more, and Lamar Jackson bailed us both out of that one. Well, bailed us all out of that one, really. At least in terms of the predictions. And I had actually no idea who was the top fantasy scorer this week, but I picked Josh Allen.
Top fantasy scorer was Justin Herbert.
That makes sense. But
and then I think it's Mark Andrews next second, which no one would ever predict. Even if he'd done the last 2 weeks top, you'd never pick him again. So
I might just pick him now just to spite that.
Good.
But no, he won't. He won't be anywhere near the top.
Josh Allen was marginally closer to the top than Derrick Henry, and significantly closer than Cooper Kupp. So you get the bonus point there as well. So your total this week was 10 points, gives you a grand total of 41. So it's almost over, frankly. 8 point margin to Allen, and then a 17-point margin to me. So it's I need to start predicting some perfect scores. Otherwise, it's just it's over.
Never give up, never surrender. I've actually got a great stat for you, which I heard just before we came on about the Chiefs. So the Chiefs are allowing a first down and 43 of completed passes. That's how bad their defense is. If you actually look to see what the best rate is of quarterbacks as opposed to teams against the Chiefs, it's also 43%, and it's Patrick Mahomes. So it's basically like Patrick Mahomes is playing the Chiefs' defense every single week.
That is class. That's a good stat.
It's a good stat. I like that.
Class.
But let's forget about that absolute shit show and let's move on. So we're going to go into the Week 6 predictions. So Thursday night football, the Bucks visit the Eagles Friday. That's a midnight start for us on the correct side of the pond. So I'm going with the Buccaneers to win this, surprisingly. I I've got a score of 35 points to 18. And I think I'm going to change it because I think I've been overly generous to the Eagles. But I'm going to do 35 points to 17, so I'm reducing it by 1.
Bold.
Game changer.
What a decision.
I think it's... I don't think... Yeah, I don't know. It's... Yeah, 18 in my head is definitely too high, but 17 seems about right. So I think you can't... I think it will be foolish to rule out Fields. What's his name? I've forgotten. Jalen Hurts.
Jalen Hurts.
Scrambling himself into the end zone a couple of times, potentially. But, you probably expect maybe one touchdown for the Eagles and then a couple of field goals here and there. I don't know what mathematics I'm doing to get to 17 because I don't think they will score 2 touchdowns, which is why I've reduced it. And then Sunday, 6 p.m, I've got the Chargers beating the Ravens, 30 points to 28. After Monday and Lamar's heroics, it's foolish to kind of rule them out unless they're paying who essentially the best team in the league right now. So it's a tough spot to do that, but I'm going to do it. It's just going to be close. I don't think the Chargers are going to comfortably win this. I think it's going to be a close one score game there. Cardinals at the Browns and another Sunday game. I'm going to take the Cardinals. Both teams have been sort of really good at times, but also have won dirty a bit. So I expect it's going to be a relatively close game. I've gone 33 points to 31 in an insanely close game, in fact. I think it might literally come down to the team that has the ball last. And I'm going to go with the Cards. Sunday Night Football. I'm going with Sunday Night Football. The Seahawks visiting the Steelers, Monday 1:20 a.m. I'm going to take the Steelers, winning 27 points to 16. I don't like the Seahawks. I think they're shite. And they don't have a quarterback now, so... I mean, the Steelers are also shit as well, don't get me wrong, but I think without Russell Wilson, the Steelers are less shit. And then the Bills visit the Titans on Tuesday at 1 a.m. I'm going to take the Bills. You'd be foolish to do anything other than take the Bills here. 35 points to 20. The Titans aren't very good on defense, and if you suss them on offense, which there's plenty of game film showing you how you can slow down Derrick Henry, not necessarily stop him, but slow him down. I think there are definitely ways to stop them running up the score, and I think the Bills should be able to do that. So 35 points to 20, and as such, my point scorer this week is going to be Josh Allen, top point scorer. I think he's putting himself back in the conversation, maybe even having taken the lead in the MVP argument, and I expect it to continue on Tuesday morning.
Yeah, I think a lot of my predictions are not necessarily wildly different from that. I too have the Buccaneers beating the Eagles on Thursday night. I've gone for 34 to 17. The Buccaneers are a decent football team, apart from at corner, where they're struggling with injuries. That's the way to sort of get points on the board, and I think that the Eagles should be able to get at least some points on the board, utilising Devontae Smith and some of the other weapons they have. Although they're losing, Zach Ertz will probably be a bit more prominent than previous weeks because Dallas Goedert's injured. So I think they will put up some points, but just not as many as the Bucs. And this Eagles defense, and it's just not very good. Chargers at Ravens. I've gone for the Chargers. I think since they got beaten by the Cowboys, they've been pretty unstoppable. They played much better defenses than the Ravens. I think the Ravens defense isn't all that good, and the Chargers defense is getting a lot done, especially against wideouts. So I think they could, if they're limiting Marquise Brown, he's had a really good season so far with a couple of deep shots. If they can try and protect against Mark Andrews, the run game with, it's not a three-headed monster. It's like a three-headed pussycat of Latavius Murray, Devontae Freeman, and I don't know, is Lev Bell still there? God, I don't know. Oh, Taysom Williams, four-headed pussycat. I just don't think they're going to, although the Chargers are a bit susceptible to the run, I don't think that they're going to be able to keep up with the Chargers. I've gone 30 points to 20. So I don't even think it's going to be that close. I think a lot of the injuries the Colts had on Monday Night Football, it flattered Lamar Jackson and the offense a little bit.
Yeah, the secondary was absolutely destroyed.
Yeah, it was decimated. Moving on, I've then got, so this must be sort of the late-ish slot on Sunday, Cardinals at Browns. This is a tough one to call. I really like the Cardinals. I think everyone really likes the Cardinals. They are undefeated, so that just shows you they are a decent team. The Browns, they're in a tough division. We knew that before coming in. They've had to play some tough teams. I keep picking them to win, and they don't. But I think this is when it's going to change. The Cardinals struggled last week against the 49ers. Their defense isn't as good as the Browns, in my opinion, and they only managed to put up 17 against them. So the Browns also managed to move the ball nicely against the Chargers, and I've just been singing the defense's praises in that respect. So I have to believe that the Browns are going to be able to get the job done against the Cardinals. Gone for just about a 2-score game, 20-28 to the Browns. Then Sunday Night Football, we've got Seahawks at Steelers. I've gone wild. I've gone for the Seahawks to win, and I'm not sure why. I think the reason why is that I can't make up my mind if the Seahawks are a decent team or not.
Yeah,
but I know the Steelers aren't.
It's pretty wild.
Yeah, I just know the Steelers aren't that good, and on offense they're not looking great. They've lost Juju Smith-Schuster, who apparently, he's not been setting the world alight, but he does reduce the dynamism that offense brings. They can't run the ball because the offensive line's terrible. The Seahawks have actually played some decent defense at times this season, and I was actually quite impressed with Geno Smith when he came in the other day against the Rams.
Geno Atkins.
Yeah, him too.
If you don't get the reference, go listen to the audio show.
Okay, right.
Quick plug.
I haven't caught up yet. Been too busy eating birthday cake. But Gino, whatever his surname is, I thought he looked alright. And the Rams haven't been fantastic on defense this year, but they do have some playmakers to make it difficult for you. So I think if the Seahawks can have Chris Carson back, a bit more dynamic run, they're still going to have DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett out wide. I think they can put up some points at Heinz Field, despite being a difficult place to go. 24-13. 2-score. Don't know what I was thinking then. And then Bills to Titans, as you said. It's easy, isn't it? I've gone for a 40-burger, 40-20. The Titans' defense isn't very good. Their offense hasn't looked very good. And to be honest, I reckon a lot of these points aren't even necessarily going to be Josh Allen. I think it'll be over before Josh Allen's necessarily picking up 40-odd points in fantasy. I think it'd be just hand it to Zach Moss and Devin Singletary, and they'll just run through this porous Titans defense. And then
Mitch Trubisky going to come in and take the day.
Just give Mitch a half. Just who cares? The Titans are not great, and it's only 20 because I believe that Derrick Henry will probably score at least one or two touchdowns.
You give Trubisky a half, you could give him a half a bottle of whiskey, and go out there and still put a couple of scoring drives together, I think, against Tennessee at this point.
Yeah. And my fantasy player of the week, I'm going for a guy who's been hot most weeks, Mike Williams for the Chargers. I've said that I don't rate the Ravens' defense or the secondary, and
I pressed that when you said it just took ages to load and play.
Oh, good. Right. It might be a better time for Seahawks Steelers prediction. But yeah, I think Herbs is going to air it out. Mike Williams is going to be there. Could get a couple of long touchdowns in this one. So, yeah, Mike Williams.
Nice.
Yeah.
We haven't done this so far much this year, where we're talking about each other's predictions. But I can't not jump in and say I think you're absolutely insane for picking the Steelers. Sorry, the Seahawks by 2 scores. It's fucking no. I don't see it. Like Najee Harris had a really good day. Finally, the offense actually looks like it can put scores together, and it didn't look amazing still, but there was a balance there that we've not seen for a good while, and they looked almost efficient.
To be fair to the Seahawks, I think we had Colin on our audio version of the show to review Week 5's action, and he has this long-standing belief that Pete Carroll, he always gets his boys going somehow, some way. I don't think they've had a losing record in 10 years. Having said that, that's with always having Russell Wilson as your quarterback. Geno Smith is now the guy, and he put together a couple of surprise scoring drive against the Rams where the Rams did not prepare for Geno Smith. No. And then once they adjusted, they made the interception that sealed the game.
Yeah.
But on the flip side of that, the Seahawks didn't prepare for not having Russell Wilson either.
Yeah. I think it's easier to play with a quarterback that's in your system just as a backup than it is to go up against the quarterback that you've got no idea what they're going to come in and do.
I wouldn't be surprised to see quite a lot of sort of like sneaky plays by the Seahawks, like quite a lot of screens, not necessarily even running back, like tight end screens or wide receiver screens, jet sweeps, things like that, just to try and get the playmakers the ball a little bit more.
Oh, their season's basically on the line already at this point. At 2-3 in that division, with the Cardinals and the Rams already kind of running away with it.
Yeah.
So you can be sure on Sunday Night Football when the national audience watching, Pete Carroll's not going to put on an embarrassing display. So I think you're going to see some wild calls.
The Steelers in the same spot though, aren't they? Bottom of the division, 2-3 records. Their season is probably already done, whereas the Seahawks have a chance to save it. I just think the Steelers, the Seahawks are a bit better. There was a stat that I was going to drop in on the other show, which I then didn't get an opportunity, so I'm going to drop it here. Russell Wilson, 144 consecutive starts. He's not necessarily finished every single game. That's all of his games, by the way. Every single regular season game. 100.
He is the Iron Man, or was the Iron Man. He was one of the guys that could have gone on to break as Eli Manning's near record, or Peyton Manning. One of the Mannings nearly broke the record a few years ago.
He's gonna come back and actually just be the Iron Finger from now on.
It was Eli, wasn't it? He actually got dropped before he got injured.
Yeah. It's just insane. Anyway, Ross, we should probably let you talk.
Well, there's only so many. Just as a lasting point on the Steelers, there's only so many wildcard plays you can run with a broken down London bus as your quarterback at this point. But that's Big Ben at this point in his career, and it's quite sad to see. But going back to Thursday night, which is just coming up, I'm following a similar pattern to you guys. I had a lot less faith in the Eagles. Well, not a lot less, a touchdown less faith in the Eagles than you guys did, because I have them only scoring 10 points against one of the best defenses in the NFL. I think that game against Dallas in week 1 for the Bucs, that kind of skews their defensive stats a little bit, certainly in terms of their yardage. I think they've been pretty solid since then. Maybe in one other game I think they gave up quite a lot of yards, but I think they're still pretty solid, and definitely too good for Jalen Hurts, who we saw struggle just this past Sunday against another not very good opponent, so in the Carolina Panthers. So I see the Bucs putting on a lot of points. The way they have the leader in passing yards and passing touchdowns in a 44-year-old Tom Brady at this point, so they're going to put up 38 points, and it's going to be a 38-10 win to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and I hope it's so, because it's in line with who I've got as my fantasy points scorer. It's called a tease in the business. I've seen you guys also pick the Chargers, and I'm debating in my head.
Do it.
whether that's a lot of disrespect towards one Lamar Jackson, who I'm now on the bandwagon for.
Switch.
Go
on.
Lamar Jackson has more passing yards, more passing touchdowns, more rushing yards than his MVP season through week 5 to this point in the season. So I'm going to pick the Ravens because I think that is way too much disrespect on Lamar Jackson's name at this point. Justin Herbert's had a great first few weeks of the season, and he's looked phenomenal. I think he might be a generational quarterback. The only issue is, on the other side for the Ravens, on the Ravens side, you have another generational quarterback in Lamar Jackson who does things that nobody else in the league can do. Coming off that performance on Monday Night Football, the world is his oyster and the league is his oyster at this point. I believe in Lamar Jackson, and I think the Ravens defense will just do enough to contain Justin Herbert. Although I didn't think that 5 minutes ago, and I'm just doing that for the differential. And here we are trying to make up my excuse for changing. So I'm going to pick the Ravens. I'm just going to flip the scores, 27-24. Either way, I think it's going to be a one-score game.
I was going to mention the fact that you hadn't flipped. Like me and Allan had both flipped a prediction, and you hadn't done it. And I was like, oh, Ross, slow and steady wins the race. You know, leading from the front, but leading by winning 1-0 every week.
We're well set up over here. We're well set up here. The Haggis Express only knows one way, and it's go. It's slow and steady, but we get there. But I'm going to take Baltimore in this one, and they're at home as well.
Nickname, the Haggis Express.
My nickname changes every week on this show, so I like it. I'm going to have to keep that up. I'm going to take the Ravens, and they're at home as well, so taking the home team. Moving on to Cardinals Browns. I'm also very tempted to flip this one because I looked at it earlier and I thought Browns at home, they played well. Just coming off their game I just saw, and the Cardinals didn't look so good against the San Francisco 49ers, but they are the undefeated team, and as anybody that's been listening for a few weeks or a few months will know, I'm very, very fond of this Cardinals team. So I'm also going to flip the Cardinals pick, and I'm going to take the Cardinals at going into Cleveland and making Kevin Stefanski's life and Baker Mayfield's life a whole lot more difficult to reach the playoffs.
Yeah, the Haggis Express rolls on.
Yeah, I really do think the Browns are a good team, but they keep coming up against other very, very good teams. Like the Chargers just beat them.
A tough schedule to start.
Yeah, but they're slowly coming through it at 3-2. But I just think this Cardinals team, they have something a little bit special about them this year, where they can grind out wins even though they didn't look so good against San Francisco, and that's not something they had last year. If Kyler Murray wasn't playing well last year, the defense was not good enough to bail them out of games, and that's what they just did on Sunday. I think Kyler Murray is going to come back and have a very, very good game. So I'm going to pick the Cardinals. Again, another one-score game, though. It's going to be tight, 23-20 to Arizona. And they're going to keep rolling at 6-0. Sunday night, already kind of alluded to it. I just don't see Geno Smith winning on the road on Sunday Night Football. No matter how bad the Steelers team is, I still think the defense can put together a game in this spot, and I think they can make Geno Smith look very, very, very bad. Talking about very, very bad, Jamal Adams is a problem for the Seattle Seahawks at this point. He is a very big problem. He's a bit of a liability. He's always been a liability in coverage, but what made up for it was his ability in the box as a run stuffer and even to come in and get sacks as a blitzer. And he's not got a sack this year yet. I'd like to do a bigger deep dive as to why that is, if they've not been blitzing him as much or if he's just been picked up a lot better, because he is the key to that defense at this point.
He's mighty expensive so far, isn't he?
Very expensive. If you just look at that Seahawks-Rams game where Jalen Ramsey's making big plays and he's forcing tip drills into interceptions, and then Jamal Adams has not picked up a sack, which is what he's supposed to do as a box safety that blitzes a lot and he's a liability in coverage. Yeah, you look at those two deals and what you got in return for them. Very similar packages given up in terms of first-round picks. And I just think that's a poor decision by Seattle, and they're heading in the wrong direction. So 24-13 to Pittsburgh Steelers. I don't think it's going to be necessarily a great game, but I don't see the Steelers losing it. And following the same line of thinking as you guys, Buffalo Bills have to beat the Tennessee Titans. They are the talk of the town at the moment. They're rolling. I love Josh Allen, everything he does. I think the defense has come back to what they were a couple of years ago under Sean McDermott. Just well coached, well drilled unit. that pass rush was a weakness last year. And I think the first round pick, Greg Rousseau's come in and not solved everything, but you get a sack and an interception on Patrick Mahomes on Sunday Night Football, you're doing something right as a rookie. I've got the Buffalo Bills winning 31-20 on Monday Night Football in Tennessee. And I alluded to my fantasy point scorer for the week. I'm going to know very quickly if I'm in the running or not, because I've gone on Thursday Night Football and I've picked Antonio Brown from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Yeah, well, he's had a good year so far.
Yes, yeah.
When he's running hot.
When he's been good, he's been really good.
Do they call it a brace in American football?
I think we talked about this on Sunday. On like betting apps, it said a brace, and we were like, I don't think that's American terminology. I don't think so.
Well,
my one worry is that
we're bringing it in. I mentioned a hat trick on yesterday's show. I'm talking about a brace now.
Hat tricks are a thing.
We are the un-American football show, so we shouldn't really be calling them by their given names in America.
Official names anyway. Yeah.
So
a try scorer. That's what we're going to call it instead of a hat trick. Then
the conversion.
Yeah. I hope someone gets a try score this week.
We can bring it in. I want to see some drop goals now.
Yeah. One thing I was just going to say on your predictions, Ross, you've predicted only 10 points for the Eagles, and don't get me wrong, I'm not going to come and start defending the Philadelphia Eagles. Far from it. But the Dolphins did put up 17 against the Buccaneers this past weekend, and Jacoby Brissett is their quarterback.
It's fair, but you just don't know how a game's going to go. I see the Nick Sirianni, their season's on the line, probably going for a lot more in fourth down and failing, in tight places. But we'll see how it goes on Thursday night. Thursday night games are always weird. They're either big blowouts or it's very, very tight and nobody expected it.
And it's not going to be tight, is it?
No. So I see it only going one way in my head, but it'll definitely go a completely different way. I think probably similarly to that Bengals-Jags game. That was weird. We all thought it was going to be a big Bengals win, and then Jaguars are 21-0 up at halftime or something like that.
Yeah.
Thursday nights are weird.
Yeah. So that's your lot. Our picks for week 6 are in. As always, if you've enjoyed the show, please drop us a comment, like, subscribe, just do whatever. It's up to you. Don't have to do any of it. Do all of it, do none of it, whatever. We've also got the audio only show that we've mentioned a couple of times. You can find that all over the place, including Spotify, Apple, Amazon, Google, some others that I've never heard of. Come give us a follow on Twitter at ToughShowOfficial. Oops. And you can come and join our Discord. There's a nice, kind of friendly community growing on Discord. It's a good laugh over there.
Didn't someone describe it as a fantastic server of people with just good banter and no toxicity, which was not even our words.
The details of that you can find on our Twitter and in the description of this video. Allan, Ross, thanks for joining me again. Anything to say?
Just always a pleasure, knowing that I'm going to go into the week and be right again.
Yeah, I'm just looking forward to the Cowboys beating the Patriots, to be honest, because I don't remember that ever happening.
I'm looking forward to the Cowboys beating the Pats. That's how bad it is this week.
That was bad.
How many? Wait, as a bonus point, how many points do you think the Cowboys are going to score, Nate? Well, you're in last place. We'll give you, if you get it within 3, bonus point.
35.
35. Okay. So either way, 32 to 38, you can get a bonus point.
Thank you. I feel dirty, but I'll take it.
I'd like to think if we score 32, we shouldn't lose. I don't see Matt Jones scoring 32, but famous last words.
If you score 21, you won't lose.
I don't know. The defense ain't that good.
Neither is their offense.
True. Anyway,
yeah. No, we're digressing and running the time up on this show. So thanks again, guys, and thank you all for listening, watching, whatever you're doing. Until next week, goodbye. was going to stare at the camera until I stop.